Get off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah, number one talk in the IE. Thank you very much. And streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, T-Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Streaker, and more. Why so many places? Because I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kanye talk, or any P. Diddy or T talk, whatever it is that is on the headlines right now, because you can get that anywhere, but you can't get balancing out the bad news with good news, good people. Somebody called it the other day, that little end positive, feel good story at the end of an hour's news broadcast. Well, I took that little bit and stretched it into a whole hour. Now, consecutive week, 680 consecutive weeks, 13 years, 1,391 podcast shows. And for that reason, you will see a very special person in studio today. She is my satellite sister, and I'll tell you why I call her that in a minute. But she is founder of one of the best organizations that I know of, making a difference for youth today, keeping them out of and eliminating the juvenile hall system. She's also a very accomplished actress. She's a playwright. She is, there's just so many things. So I'll just say she's beautiful inside and out. Please welcome back to my studio, Akuyoe Graham. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marissa. It is always so good to be with you. I love you. And really, I'm in awe. And may I say congratulations now?
Congratulations. Yes, I wouldn't let her do it backstage.
13 years. What an accomplishment, and to be at the top of your game, to do this with all the passion, the joy, the fun, the laughter that you do it with. And thank you so much for being a place of interesting, provocative, evocative, good news, positivity, life-affirming conversations. Thank you so much for creating that space.
Share. I acknowledge, and I will also give myself. That's one consistent thing I've had for all 13 years and all 1,391 shows is that applause. Because I do love affirming everyone, including myself. And I think that is has been a wonderful part of doing this show. And about 3 years ago, I started a little special exercise to start every show. So we're going to do that now. I think you are familiar with it. If you recognize Akuyoe, she actually has the distinction, I was going to say extinction, no, distinction of being my most, you've been on this show more than anyone else has, partially because, you were my co-host for an important special series that we did after George Floyd died or was murdered. And it was called It's Not Black and White, or Is It? So for that, you get another acknowledgement for being my most repeat guest on the show. And that's the first gratitude I have. The exercise I was speaking of, the hashtag Blisscipline, as our big brother will say, Reverend Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith. Top of the bun is things that we're grateful for. Bottom of the bun, things that we are grateful for inside of ourselves, outside of ourselves, inside of ourselves. And this is taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich, which is the breakfast that I have every morning show, every weekday morning with either myself, my co host, or my guests. So that's what we're going to do and start with. And I just did my first gratitude, which was for Akuyo and the support and the love that she has given me for the past 13 years on this show. And for the 3 years before that is when I met her. I met you 16 and a half years ago. So just in case you
Wow.
didn't know that. So I am grateful for that. What are you grateful for?
Oh my. Well, I'm grateful for that too. And in fact, recently I was just reminded how many great people I have in my life. And I am so grateful for each of you, you and just my friends and members of my family and my cadre of angels, and spiritual teachers that I can really lean into at any given time. If something's going on, I can just call them into my awareness. I can call you into my awareness and lean into that and get more strength. So I'm deeply grateful for that.
Beautiful. I'm grateful that we got to enjoy a yummy Mother's Day brunch together at the Beverly Wilshire Four Seasons Hotel, which was very fun. Had some interesting fun moments as well. And that was very fun. And I do love the deliciousness of food. So I'm going to be grateful for that I have taste buds, that I have caviar taste, and always affirming a caviar budget as well. But I love the taste, the texture, and the tenacity of food. No, I'm kidding. It's the tincture of the taste of food, and I'm so grateful that I have favorites, and I do not eat to live. I live to eat. So I am grateful for that. One more, Akuyo. What else are you grateful for?
Well, again, piggybacking on what you said, I'm also grateful for deliciousness for food and for beautiful spaces and places, and that I get to have those experiences. Again, I do not take it for granted. And being with all of you on Mother's Day with my mother was so special to me in such a gorgeously opulent, beautiful space was wonderful. So we
Mhm.
could all feel really taken care of, you know. I thought that was amazing. So thank you.
Of course. Let's go to the bottom of the bun. I'd like to welcome, I see eyeballs rolling in right now. We actually got a finger. Someone gave us the finger, this one, not the other one. So,
That's good.
unless you're driving, please do stop in at my YouTube TV channel, Dr. Marissa, live, or just use my assistant Google, put in Asian Oprah, and you will find me on YouTube live every weekday morning. Hit the subscribe button and give us the finger. That way you can sandwich your day in the most positive way, starting with the gratitude sandwich. So now we're going to go to the bottom of the bun. It's really good to start your day looking at things that are good instead of things that are bad. But you're going to not have a great day if fundamentally you don't like yourself. No matter how many things you accomplish, no matter how many things you buy, if you're looking for approval, you're looking for likes literally on social media, love in all the wrong places, you're really not going, the gratitude's not going to work, because it starts
Mhm.
with being grateful for yourself and liking parts of yourself. And I didn't grow up with that. I was told you're not all that. Don't toot your own horn. The nail that stands up is hammered down is an actual Chinese and Japanese saying. Not really motivating to stand
Mhm.
out or to like or be proud of
Mhm.
some, if not most parts of yourself. So that's why we do this weightlifting part. We're going to model this for you before you go to bed tonight. If you would remember to like yourself specifically. So, what do you like about yourself? I'll start and I'll say, I like that I have pretty much no fear. That's my middle name. If I have an inspired thought to do something, even if it's hard, even if it seems wacky, I will do it and just try it. And if I fall flat on my face, oh well, a bad day for the ego is a good day for the soul. So
Mm.
I appreciate that about myself. And as a result of that, people have been saying, yeah, I remember you saying you were going to try stand up. You actually did it, and did a big show in Yuck Yucks in Canada, in Toronto, which was not, it wasn't an open mic. It was an invited mic. So the fact that I did it and was told anytime I come back to Toronto, let them know and I'll be in the lineup. That's a huge thing. And I want to just acknowledge myself for that. I don't think I've done that on the show yet. So I'm going to give a special, because stand up is not easy. And Akuyo will know, specifically as an actress.
So I want to give you kudos for that as well. That really is outstanding. That you had that in you and you didn't stop yourself and you did it, and you did it well. I can't wait to see your stand up in LA. I really can't wait.
Yes, I feel like I'm ready and then I'm not ready. So, I'll continue to do some practice stuff before I actually have in place. Like who does this, where you meet people and they go, oh, I'm best friends with the Laugh Factory, or, oh, I know how to get you on stage for this or that. And it's like, give me a little more practice. I've only been on stage 11 times. So, anyways, but again, thank you for that, Akuyo. What do you like about yourself?
Oh, I love that. I love to pray and meditate. That I
Mm.
just absolutely love. I'm so grateful that I have an understanding of the power that is inherent in prayer and meditation, and that I wake up and there's not a day that I don't meditate. I don't know how people, well, you don't know what you don't know. So people who don't know anything about meditation and don't meditate, they don't know. Um, yeah, I love that about myself. I'm
And
grateful for that.
I love that about you too. You
Mhm.
are definitely a spiritual. I don't want to say warrior, because warrior sounds like you're fighting, but
Mhm.
you can see it in you that this is anytime I am disturbed in our home at Agape, she's my go-to. She helps me, sets me back into my center. So for that, I'm grateful for you, and I appreciate that about you.
Mhm.
One more. I appreciate that I'm a fashionista. I love dressing up. I love, the fact that people will guess if they don't know what I do, that I am a fashion designer, and I kind of like that. It's a way that I uh, do my creativity. And I have a photo shoot today after the show that I get to go to. And the fact that I have a closet where I don't need to go shopping anywhere but my closet for clothes for a photo shoot, and that's pretty amazing. For my publicist was like, wow, I don't need to get you clothes. So I appreciate that about myself. And you?
And your clothes are stunning. I mean, this one that you're wearing now is one of my favorites. And
Oh.
then what you wore Sunday at our Mother's Day celebration was just, oh, gorgeous. And you wear it, you flow like an angel, you just, yeah, yeah, you are a
Aw.
fashionista. And trust me, all of us that see you appreciate that about you as well.
And you look particularly beautiful this morning. I'm going to take an
Oh,
opportunity to say that color, and I think that's from Ghana.
it is.
One of the things that we're both going to get to do is see each other in Ghana this summer. If the last chance to travel with us and Reverend Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, message me and I'll get you straight to Joe Cada, or you can go straight to agapelive.com. I'd love to travel with y'all, and you get to spend some time with the lovely Akuyoe Graham, and I'll be teaching my balanced Tai Chi Gong
Ooh,
at
wonderful.
sunset and
Where will you be
sunset.
teaching that? Where will you be teaching that?
Throughout the trip, I will be doing
Okay.
that. I'll be doing it at sunset. So
Oh.
wherever we are, if we're not on a plane, train, or
Subway.
automobile, at sunset, I'll be doing balanced Tai Chi Gong. So
I'm just curious, how do you guys get to Ghana? Which flight or airline, if you can say, do you use? Do you
I
know?
don't know. I'll have to go. I don't know if Joe Cada actually put that down, but I'll look it up.
Okay, you
And
can tell me later.
yeah,
Oh, it's
so
going to be
that
so fun to be in
I
Ghana with you. I will
know.
take you to one of my favorite restaurants. My favorite Italian restaurant is in Ghana.
No way.
Way,
That's
way.
funny.
It's
That is
a restaurant
hilarious.
called Pomona. It's called Pomona, and it's in what looks like a private home. It's beautiful, elegant, and the food is out of sight. It is
That's
so good. I know.
that's so funny. That is so much. Well, one of my favorite Thai restaurants is in London, England.
Well,
So
there
there
you
you
go.
go.
There
Yeah.
you
You
go.
don't have to go to the actual country. And I want to welcome all the new eyeballs coming into studio right now. And you're wondering what's going on today. And take my advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. The morning show. I do have the fabulous, the wonderful, beautiful inside and out Satellite Sister Akuyoe Graham, who's here to celebrate my 13 years on the air on camera. And that's what the topic is of the day. And we're just finishing up breakfast. So let's see. What's one thing that you like about yourself?
Also, that I love to travel. I love that about myself, that I really am an adventurous girl. In fact, anytime I take someone to the airport or I drive near an airport, I just want to stop my car, go and buy a ticket and fly off somewhere. And one of these days, I think I'm going to do that, because it just feels like it would be such a great adventure to disappear. No one knows where she's going. And I'll call you and say, hey, Dr. Marissa, yeah, I just flew into Paris. I just had a whim to come to Paris and here I am, or wherever. So I love that
Yes,
about myself, the spirit of adventure.
absolutely. Flying never gets old for me. Love the
Mhm.
feeling of takeoff, love the feeling of landing, the magic and it's a human nature showing off. Engineers, how we fly still to me is magic. But
Me too. It's a
right?
miracle, isn't it?
Is
I
it is
mean,
a miracle.
look, you're up, I don't know how many thousands of feet in the air. You're sitting, you're laying down, you're eating. It blows my mind. It never gets old. I
Nope.
find the whole thing so miraculous and so
Absolutely.
extraordinary. And
It
it reminds
is.
me, if I can share,
Yes.
in scripture, when Jesus said, greater things than this shall ye also do, after he revive the dead and all these great things. And so whenever I fly, I think of that because it's just, to me, it's mind blowing. You know, it's mind blowing. It's extraordinary. And
I didn't know we had that in common.
Mhm.
So you got a couple fingers on that comment too. Thanks for giving us the finger. All right, and that's it for breakfast with Dr. Marissa and
Akuyo Graham.
here celebrating 13 years on Take My
Yes.
Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind. AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah. Thank you very much. And streaming everywhere. If you are on my YouTube TV channel, feel free to comment. You'll also get an alert if you free subscribe every weekday morning to join me for breakfast. Thanks for eating and taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich. I promise you that if you do this for 28 consecutive days, you will sandwich your day in the most positive
Mm.
way. All righty. Topic of the day is
You.
It says everything is awesome, matches your outfit. And
Right.
yes, the topic is I thought it would be fun to have me not be the host for the remainder of this show. Akuyo is going to take over, and I'm going to be on the hot seat for a change and
That's
have Akuyo ask me anything she wants. So
right.
that
Okay.
this should be very interesting. I did not ask her what the questions were. Maybe I should have. But those of you who were here for the mini roast when my three co-hosts took me to task, that was a very funny show. I'll have to send you an outtake on that. But let's get started, Akuyo. Happy to be on
Okay.
your show.
I'm happy to have you on my show, Dr. Marissa. And because I work with young people, I always want to ask a question that might inspire them or guide them in some way. So, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, in your 13 years, which is outstanding, what challenges have you had? If you could give us an example, and how were you able to meet that challenge? How were you able to respond to it?
Mm. When I started, and I see someone in the cashew gallery who's here, beam me up, Scotty. you're beamed up, and you're with two beaming women. Welcome to the show. You're now the president of my cashew gallery, by the way, because you're the first to identify. So, challenges. One challenge was at the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm,
And when I am not comfortable and nervous, which it's so weird how I know my big brother Michael also says the that nervousness, and I don't know, I'm sure it's true for you too. Don't know when exactly it left me. It
mm,
was in this last 13 years, somewhere in there. So getting on stage to speak doesn't unnerve me anymore. But those jitters, and when I have jitters, and I did it at the first year of my show, I wasn't sure if I should be doing this. I didn't know if I was going to be good at it. I was afraid of what other people would think. So I was over talking,
mm,
and people would be very cruel and say, um, and here's the thing, like 88% of the people listening or watching would say great show, maybe even 95%, but that one two, I think in that first year there was probably 10 people who said you're talking too much, you talk too much, you don't let the guests talk enough. And that was not easy because i I knew I was doing it out of nervousness. And that challenge itself was so good for me because I could take a look at it
mhm,
and get past the who do you think you are? That
mhm,
defensive, I'm going to stab you back. Or as Thich Nhat Hanh says, if someone sets your house on fire, resist the urge to go and set their house on fire. I
mhm,
wanted to come back. You don't have a show, and how dare you criticize, blah, 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 blah. But then I could stop and say, well, let's look at this, and
yes,
watch myself and realize that, yeah, I remember my beautiful the first station I was at, he said after 6 months, because I would read what the show was about at the
mhm.
top of every show. And he's like, I think people know what your show's about now. So that was a big challenge. And it wasn't just a challenge for the show. I think it was a challenge for me because I grew up with such criticism that
Mm,
any kind of criticism was just like killing me, right?
mm,
It wasn't, I couldn't take criticism at all because it meant you didn't love me.
mm. Wow. So those what you're describing are growing pains, and I'm so glad that you took them in. And I love what you said about, rather than giving as good as you get, you were able to look at what they wrote and see if there was anything in there, that you could work with and respond to in an organic, helpful way, and that is so wonderful that you did that. And I always try to share that with my students, that how we respond to something really makes all the difference. So then, without naming any names, who has been maybe a challenging guest, and who has a wonderful guest that it just flowed and it was easy and fun and inspirational? Let's start first with who has been a challenging guest that you just went, oh my God, I may never have them here again, without naming a name.
I am so grateful that in the 13 years, 680 consecutive weeks, and the 1,391 podcast shows, I can only think of two guests, two out of that. Like, and
Wow.
I've had at least 1,000 guest shows,
Mhm.
right? So
Yes.
out of that, only two, and how fortunate I am for that.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yes.
so those two, one was a man, one was a woman, had one thing in common. They took that toot your own horn to such an extreme that it was a good lesson for me too. It's good to toot your own horn, but there's a line where you can cross where people will not be receptive to anything you say. And
Mhm.
those two individuals were just I had to take myself off camera
Mhm.
several times because I have a face that it shows exactly what I'm feeling.
Mhm.
So I had to take myself off camera because it was the longest hour twice of a show. And most people are like, oh my God, the hour's over. Or
Yeah.
even when I'm by myself, it's like, oh, I'm out of time. So I hear that more than not. So for them, that was the longest hour of my broadcasting life. So those two. Now, the best shows are those, and there are some names I'll mention in a second, but to be able to meet incredible people, and I will say that outside of those two, every single person who's
Mhm.
been on my show has incredible life stories, and that's what I have appreciated about doing this show is that it's true. Michael will say, every one of us, there's not a throwback in the bunch. Each one of
Mhm.
us in the 8 billion are, unique, one of a kind, wonderful. And
Yes.
it's true because
Yes.
I get to interview and get to know. I don't do pre-interviews. I can't stand them because you lose the essence of
Mhm.
discovery live that I love to do. I remember when Layla Ali said to me, she's starting a podcast, but hers was pre-recorded. She wasn't a pro like me because I insist on live, which was such a compliment. And she was on last week again to celebrate 13 years, by the way, as
Mm.
well. And when I can get my guests to feel comfortable enough to drop all of their rehearsed stuff
Mhm.
and get them to shine their innate beautiful selves on the show, and they're so comfortable to the point where I've had more often than not, especially the ones who are invited on to Larry King Live or Ellen or Oprah, my honorable moniker, they'll say that my interview with them was one of their favorites, if not the favorite interview that they've ever had. And
Mm.
makes a really a favorite guest. So
Yeah.
those are the, and that happens more often than not. To
Mm-hmm.
have them at the end of the show go from at the beginning of the show, I can remember one in particular. Lucy Arnaz is Lucio Ball and Desi Arnaz's daughter, and she gets asked on a lot of different shows, and she doesn't really want to talk about I Love Lucy. She's an entertainer in her own right. She doesn't know me from a hole in the wall, right? Or Don Most, Ralph Malph from Happy Days. Yes, and I invited his wife to come on with him, and he's like, no, she's done one show and she never wants to go on another show again. And so I because she has Parkinson's like my mom, and so Don contacted me after I interviewed him for the first time and said, Morgan watched the interview and she's agreed to come on to the show.
Oh,
Okay.
wonderful. What a compliment.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then, grandfather of all possibilities, Ron Klein, he's the one that invented the black strip on a credit card, the MLS listings. He also puts my interview up there with all of the network interviews because he said it was his favorite. So that makes a great guest when they're comfortable and they feel safe, because I don't want to make you look bad. I don't want to try to catch you in something. I don't want to, any of that. So, and then on that note, so when I asked Corey Feldman on the show, and his publicist was very clear, you do not ask him about emancipation, his parents, child labor, the molestation by the producer, all of these things I was not allowed to ask him about. And I said, okay, not going to do it. He comes and sits down in studio. I was at Sunset and Gower at the time. And I said, doing research on you, you have had quite the life experience as a kid, and kudos to you and then he he goes, you have no idea. And then he goes, when I was 13 and and I looked at the publicist, I went, I didn't ask him, but he felt comfortable. And he also, when he released his first music or something that he was doing at the time, he asked if he could come back.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? Well, it's because this show is not salacious in any way. You're not selling us anything. We're so inundated. You look at a lot of the talk shows and it's all PR. It's all so superficial. They don't really talk about anything. It's just nonsensical. It might be entertaining, however, there is no salaciousness in you or in your show. There's a level of integrity, so that's why when people come on, I'm sure they feel that, and then their hearts open and they want to tell you everything, even if their publicist says, no, don't do that. They of their own free will just immediately jump into it. So kudos to you, Dr. M, that your energy and just your level of respect and love for humanity, really. That's what we're talking about. It shows, it's present, and we as guests really feel that, and that's no small accomplishment. What you're doing, you make it look so easy. However, we know it's not, So what has been the toughest part of your job? What's the toughest thing?
Getting up in the morning every weekday morning when I don't feel like getting up necessarily. And then I have like a whole, I for my health, every other day I work out. So that means getting up at 6, going to the gym, going to the pool, doing the shower, hair, and makeup, getting the guests, making sure that's ready. I don't have a full team because I the name of the show is Take My Advice. I'm not using it. I the experiences I've had, and it's nothing against people that when I hire people, I do have some expectations. And if I have to check or double check, then it's just easy for me to do it on my own. I'm definitely a quintessential solo entrepreneur. So at some point it does become like every night when people are chilling, right? And just after a work day, I'm prepping for the show like every night, no matter where I am. Like I'm doing it on a boat yesterday out of the water because I had to prepare and get your promo out for today. So that's a tough part because some days I just don't feel like it, but most days I feel like it. So
Yes.
that is definitely. And then the other tough part is the value that people place on numbers. And they're always asking, if I'll ask a guest and if I can have them on the show, if their first question is, what are your numbers or what's your reach and how many people do you have? Which is a normal question, but it just drives me crazy that we're reduced to that evaluation. So that content is not king, right?
Yeah.
Numbers is king. And the honest truth, and I'm going to put the moose on the table, which is my Canadian version of talking about the elephant in the room. People buy numbers, right? That is how you get your numbers, because no matter, there's a threshold, and there's just so many people to tune into, or that you can't expect that kind of number traction just organically.
Yes.
You buy numbers. I don't know anyone who has a lot of numbers who has not bought numbers.
Yeah.
And those, no one has dared to challenge me on that because they know that it's the truth. And I refuse. I get approached like multiple times a day to buy numbers. So I refuse to do that. So that's
Yes.
probably the toughest thing about
Sure.
doing this, is that refusing and sticking to my Kevin Costner guns. If you build it, they will
They
come.
will come.
And
Well,
I'm not everybody. So
after 13 years and you're growing and your numbers are growing organically, do you think there'll come a time when you will, have maybe it'll be a small team, just to free you up to do other things? Have you reached that time? You think? I think you have. Like prepping the show, I think that's something you can hand off to someone else to do, and you'll oversee it, and I have to say though, Dr. Marissa, I understand because as CEO of my own organization and executive director, it is hard to know, okay, what do I give to someone to do? And sometimes I do find that it's easier. Oh, by the time I explain to them how to do it, blah, 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 I could have done it, However, that's not the point. I've come to the moment where having someone is so helpful, so that my job is really as the visionary to make sure that the vision is there and that we are on track with the mission, and so that my job becomes, I get to speak with the presidents of other organizations and meet with philanthropies. So my question to you is, as I said, I think you've reached that moment where your team can expand just a little bit, so that you have the support and the help, as your show has grown and you're doing stand up. You've got a lot of things you're doing, you
Well,
know.
and so two reactions. One is I love what I do 88% of the time, and I enjoy the prep. I really do. I enjoy being able to say to someone, I'd love to have you on my show, in an email. And they are New York Times bestselling author Janine Roth, who was on Oprah, didn't know me from a hole, in the ground, and agreed in my second or third year to come on the show 3 times. And
Mm.
that, the fact that, and then people will call and that I've reached out, and they'll say, "Am I talking to you? Is this really Dr. Marissa and not an assistant and not a, you know?" And so I love that part. I love that when I reach out, it's me. When I'm responding, it's me. I don't like when I reach out and someone says, "Well, let me talk to her and see if I can get you on her calendar." To
Mhm.
me, that's like,
Hmm.
thank you very much. But if you have to put layers, that's my BS. That's my belief system. If you
Yes.
can't be open and authentic enough to talk to me, just that way, then I don't know if I want you on my show, because I'm
Mhm.
trying to separate the dross that comes with celebrity.
Sure. Sure.
Does
And there
that
is
make
a lot of
sense?
dross that comes with celebrity. And at the same time, though, people do have a lot on their plates. So for instance, I mean, you and I are friends, so you'll always be able to reach me no
Yes.
matter what I'm doing, where I am. And
Yes.
at the same time, I know I get emails, and sometimes it is easier for my assistant to say, "Thank you so much for reaching out to Akuyo. And we will get back to you." I will look at her calendar, because sometimes recently, more than ever, I have double booked, triple booked, and it's like, oh my God, because I hadn't consolidated my my calendar, so and my camera. So it's been helpful to have
Mhm.
someone assist in that way.
Yeah.
So sometimes if an assistant gets back to you, it's not because the person doesn't want to speak with you. They might genuinely really not be able to in that moment.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I agree with you. There is a lot of dross. I mean, it is a celebrity world right now. It's completely out of,
Crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So one thing is, besides loving what I do, I also have 8 jobs. So this host producer of this show is just 2 out of my 8 jobs. And I love everything that I do. I really love being a motivational speaker. I love being a filmmaker. I love being a balanced Tai Qigong teacher. I love being a, a, a happiness coach. I love being, 8 things. So in all those things,
Author,
is it
mom,
author? Thank you. Writer. Yeah. So in all those things, um, I'm not like people say, "What do you want to do next?" I want to just keep doing what I'm doing. And I don't necessarily want to grow into a massive whatever. I am more now than I ever really believed or aspired to. And
Mhm.
my employer is my UPS man, my universal power source, and he delivers, right? When I'm
Mhm.
meditating, what's next, brown, or what now, brown cow, is what I say in the morning. And the things that I get to do are all aligned in perfect, right.
Mhm.
If the last assistant I had said to me, if you didn't have a Starbucks every day, you could pay me more. So I have that, bad taste in my mouth from, just having an assistant. And again, that whole, maybe I'm a recovering control freak, but, having to oversee someone and then check and everything, it just is not, I don't have fun doing that. So I would
Okay.
rather, it literally takes me 5 minutes to do something that would take someone else an hour. And I don't say
Mm.
that in a braggy kind of way. I just, because I've done it for
Yes. For so long.
1,300. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just easier. And if there's I went to NAB last year to look for someone to buy me. I want
Mhm.
someone to say, "You know what? I like what you built. I'm going to buy it. You just slide in as talent." If
Mhm.
you're a person that's saying that, please contact me, because I would love that. But in
Mhm.
the meantime, I don't want to, same thing with consulting. I don't want to, why don't you hire junior consultants to do what you do as an organizational psychologist? No, because I can't guarantee what they're going to deliver. I can
Mhm.
guarantee this, right?
Mhm.
I can do
Mhm.
that. So I hear you. It's been one of those, you know, my UPS man is going to have to deliver one oversized drop on
Mhm.
me to to say, Okuyo's right. Let's get a team together, because I still have fun. I have time. I go race sailboats. I play mahjong. I, have a beautiful relationship with my daughters. Don't date. I mean, I'm dating. I don't have a relationship, intimate relationship. I'm not married. I do everything once, marriage, divorce. And that, I'm still dating. I'm swiper, no swiping. But again, I really do. I have this love and satisfaction for all that I do. And
Mm,
until that changes,
yes, yes, yes. I understand. I do. I do. So then this takes us right into what's next for you then. What is something, you've done so much. You're embarking on a stand-up career, it sounds like to me, what's next? Is there something, I don't want to say bucket list, but is there something that you, in your vision, and your humanitarian mission that is calling you next or that you want to try?
great question. And first of all, it's not a bucket list for me. It's a bathtub list because buckets are too small. And I want to continue everything that I am currently doing. So some people say, isn't 13 years enough? They didn't think that this show would last more than a year because it's positive and people like, if it bleeds, it leads.
Weeds, yep.
So, and I remember meeting someone who said, I had a show for 10 years and I miss it. And
Mm,
every time I think about stopping the show, I remember her and I remember what she said. And I remember the regret in her. So I'll probably be doing this until I die. So
mhm.
that is, and I love this show. I love what I get to do with this show.
Yes.
And I will answer a former question. Some of my favorite guests, Frederick from Rwanda, who
Mm,
came in studio. He had his hands cut off
mm,
by the genocide,
yes.
and he signed a book in my studio, his book, and he is still doing work in Rwanda, setting up a place for those who had like physical trauma like he did for
Mhm,
rehabilitation. So
mm,
that was amazing. Greg O'Brien, I love Greg O'Brien. He a Pulitzer award winning writer who got early onset Alzheimer's. And he
mhm.
came on and was able to describe to us what it was like to have Alzheimer from a writer's perspective who's brilliant in the analogy. So Alzheimer's is like, when you lose your keys and you
Yeah.
can't find them, that feeling plus the fact that you don't even remember you had keys in the first place. Now
Mm,
that is such a powerful, that's what Alzheimer's is like. Isn't that amazing? Right? Just that description that a writer would be able to give us, right? So
mhm.
then Rick O'Berry, who streamed live from Taiji, Japan, and he's trying to stop the slaughter of dolphins. Like
Mm,
that, those are the ones that come to my heart that I
yeah.
am so happy that Fran Drescher, not talking about SAG presidency or the nanny. And then when she was here, I also invited Charlotte Russo before she died, Charlotte Ray, who
Mm,
was on, Facts of Life.
that's
And
right.
the two of them connecting on my show, realizing that they had been at another play together, and having
Mm,
Fran talk about how to prevent cancer. Like those are things that don't happen on other shows. I
yeah.
got that on my show for history for the rest of my life in
Mhm,
my treasure chest of shows. And for
yeah.
that, I am truly grateful,
Mm.
truly grateful. I am working on a screenplay. It's called
Oh,
Life by a Thousand Cuts.
wow. What a great title.
Thank you. And it's the
Mhm,
story of my life
mhm.
that it's interesting. If you had asked me about this 4 months ago, I was saying I'm not going to publish it until my mom passes because it's the truth about the abuse that I went through in a powerful way, not to blame her, right?
Yeah.
but
Right.
so people can really see that when I say I'm one of the 7 out of 10 of us who've had childhood trauma, I ain't lying.
Mhm.
However, this last trip, Akuyo, when I went there, I don't even think I've shared this with you yet. I had the most amazing um, spiritual experience of full on extreme forgiveness, to the point like I'd
Mm.
forgiven her, but there was still a little residual, how could you? And I
Yes.
and it was my, I try to go to Canada 2-3 times a year to spend time with her at the facility because she has Parkinson's. She's now in a hospice stage. But this trip, I don't know what happened. I wasn't dreading going. I got there. I didn't try to leave quickly. I was good. I held her hand. And the third morning, I woke up sobbing from an understanding that she really truly did the very best that she could. She
Mm.
truly did. And in that, I was able to hold her and tell her several times, Mom, I love you. I forgive you. I know you love me. I know you did everything that you could. And
Mm.
and she was able to love me in a way. I call her every day now, not dreading it, and she'll say when she's lucid, how's my sweetheart daughter, or
Oh.
I'll say I love you, and she'll say I love you too. That mom I never had. She's 90, and
Mm.
not because of her. I truly believe it's because I got to that place and I sobbed for 44 minutes, or an hour and 11. It was really, I recorded myself that morning
Mm.
for the screenplay,
Yes.
for myself, for the power of forgiveness, not for her, but for
Yes.
me. and
Yes.
and I've had it before, but this was
Mm.
magnificent.
It sure is. It gave me chills. Okay, then, who's gonna play you? Who would you love to
Question.
play you in the film?
As someone said, well, Marion Ross, Mrs. Cunningham of
Mhm.
Happy Days, said, I cannot believe you're not an actress. I just
Yes.
can't believe it. Why are you not an actress?
Yes.
So that might be another thing that I try after
Yes.
stand up. Might be.
Absolutely.
But I do want to tell you
Absolutely.
who is good. I know is going to play a part that I wrote in that was not existing in my life, which was a best friend who had a really good sense of humor. And
Mm.
this is, instead of you son of a, would say you daughter of a beach, and got every saying wrong, and was the one who would say, I'm going to cut them off. Anytime
Mm.
anybody criticized me, I'm gonna cut it off. So she is the character that is my best friend, and Aquafina
Oh,
is gonna
Aquafina.
play that. And it's funny because I have no connections to Aquafina, but I went to one of my co-hosts' 40th birthday party, happened to sit across from a casting director who happened to ask me what I was working on, who I told about this and the Aquafina, and he goes, oh, I can get that to her.
Yes, yes, yes. I was gonna say, why invite her to your show? Interview her. That would be then you'd have a direct connect with her.
I
You have a
I
platform
can
that
do
you can
that.
do that.
I want to wait till it's done.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Magnificent, magnificent. And I can definitely see you acting, so I wouldn't be surprised if that is on the horizon for you. That may be one of the next things you do, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And the last thing is I've been teaching a course called Personal Mastery. I taught it at UCLA last fall and in China in June at two universities in Shanghai. And I believe that all the leaders, especially who are so focused on professional mastery, um, anybody who wants to be known for what they do, if they don't have personal mastery over the
That's
voice
right.
in their head that says, yes, you're not good enough, you're not all that, fear of failure, fear of success, imposter syndrome, perfectionism, all of that, if you don't have mastery over that, then no matter what you achieve, you're not going to believe it and you're not going to enjoy it.
That's right.
So that is
That's right.
I would love to come to Spirit Awakening to do that
Yeah.
with your kids, because I think
Okay.
it's such a, I'm not saying that you're not doing, and I want to give you the last part of this show to talk about Spirit Awakening and how we can support, because it is such a great organization. But that is, I think, a message for everyone.
Yes, absolutely. What I wanted to say is the beauty of what you're doing is that, just like at Agape, we have different speakers, so even though that is exactly what we work on with those students, it would be wonderful to have you come and share that with them. So we can get that can be done easily, because it's good to hear from a different lens. It's good to hear it literally from a different voice, because you'll say it in a way that will touch someone. I will say it in a way that will touch someone else. So the variety of people saying, pretty much not the same thing, but the same thing in very different, powerful ways is absolutely invaluable. Oh, I love that that's what you're doing. Self mastery is anything. Yes, the self, know thyself. It's the basis of everything. It influences every choice we make, every decision, who we are. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah,
Dr.
that's a
M,
passion. That's a passion.
yes.
I know that
I
that's
felt
why I'm
that.
here.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Especially with what you just shared with your mom, which is so beautiful. I can't wait for that to be captured on film. It is absolutely stunning, and very healing. I think it's going to heal a lot of people when they see that, when they hear it, when they feel it. How beautiful that you've had this time with your mother. I just, oh, what a gift. What a gift to humanity. When one of us are healed, communities are healed. The world is healed,
Absolutely.
so well, I know our time is just about over. What I want to say is Spirit Awakening, we're celebrating our 30th year, 30 years, people, of doing good, 30 years of leadership, 30 years of helping youth that are in the juvenile system, of mentoring, teaching, guiding them, 30 years of loving them, supporting them. We were one of the first organizations to recognize that those young people were, they'd been traumatized. And what they needed was love and support and compassion, not punitive, experiences, more punitive experiences. And so we've been doing this work for 30 years. We are an intervention organization. We go into the juvenile halls and the probation camps for incarcerated youth. And then we are prevention. We go into the high schools and middle schools to help young people begin the journey of self mastery, Dr. M. So we're so pleased and proud. We're in about, I think, 14 or 15 facilities in LA County. And with more, we have a huge waiting list. We work with the County Department of Arts and Culture and LAUSD, LACO, the Board of Supervisors. And October 3rd, I want to invite all of you, all of your listeners. And of course, if you're in town, Dr. M, you've got to be there on the red carpet. October 3rd, we're celebrating our 30th anniversary back at the Skirball. We'll have some celebrity guests, including you. Sorry to use the C word, but you are a celebrity.
The C
Uh,
word. I love it.
and we are thrilled. 30 years. For more information, you can go on our website at spiritawakening.org.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were also celebrating a milestone. That's
Yes,
amazing. 30 years. Akuyoe
30
Graham,
years.
folks. And I have 10 seconds to close the show because, as usual, we
Oh,
went over, but I love you so much. Thank you so
I
much
love
for
you.
the
Thank
beautiful
you.
celebration of 13 years. It's all about balance, peace in, peace out, world, peace through, inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever.